Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 11 starts now.
With so much frustration over how vaccines are being allocated in this state, the question tonight, who decides who gets what when, and how is it equitable?
Tiger Woods hospitalized after a serious car accident. We're learning more about the extent of his injuries and the circumstances of the crash.
A woman is killed, another driver hurt following a terrible wreck that caused one car to burst into flames. And that's where we start things off tonight at 11. A crash involving 3 vehicles at a busy intersection in Westland.
It happened where Van Born and Henry Ruff roads meet. Tim Pamplin is there with the night cam.
A terribly sad scene here in Westland. A high-speed fiery crash has claimed the life of a lady said to be in her early 50s. She was heading down Van Born here at Henry Ruff when the driver of that white Camaro came speeding into the intersection, hit her car. Her car immediately burst into flame. The impact so hard, the front wheel of that Camaro came flying off. He is at the hospital. The driver of that Camaro is at the hospital. Police are trying to talk to him. He has non-life-threatening injuries. But again, the lady driving that vehicle there that he struck has since perished. Firefighter and medics were quickly on the scene, got her out, got her to the hospital, but she has since succumbed to her injuries. That is the scene in Westland tonight with the night cam. Tim Pamplin, Local 4.
Okay, Tim. Turning now to the crash near Los Angeles involving Tiger Woods. The golf legend was rushed into surgery after his vehicle went off the road and rolled over.
Now, there has been no official word from the hospital, but tonight sources tell ESPN Woods suffered a compound leg fracture and a shattered ankle. Jennifer Bjorklund has more from Torrance, California.
Early this morning, a neighbor heard the loud impact and called 911, and first responders say they were able to get Tiger Woods out of the wreckage pretty quickly. In fact, the first deputy who got there said he probably could have pulled Tiger Woods out of the wrecked SUV, but wanted to wait for the fire department to get there with the medics to prevent further injury.
There was no evidence of impairment, so subsequent to that, we're not going to make any, there was no effort to draw blood, for example, at the hospital.
Looking at the damage to the SUV he was in, it's hard not to imagine how badly injured he could have been. Law enforcement officials say the passenger compartment, though, was pretty well preserved with the crumple zones and the airbags, and that Woods was wearing his seatbelt. Woods had back surgery a few weeks ago, which most people thought would be pretty minor, but he was at the Genesis Invitational over the weekend here in Los Angeles and spoke in the broadcast booth about still feeling a little bit creaky and not sure that he'd be able to start the Masters on April 8th. Now, of course, all those plans thrown to the wayside as we await results on how he came through this crash and how successful the surgery has been. I'm Jennifer Bjorklund at Harbor UCLA Medical Center. Now back to you.
Jennifer, and updates just as soon as we get them. Now, with COVID vaccines still in short supply, there are concerns over how the state is moving the doses around and whether vulnerable populations are being served.
That's why the state is now including race data in its COVID-19 dashboard. Our Mara McDonald is live downtown tonight. So, Mara, is there an exact formula that determines who gets what?
So, Kimberly, the state doesn't exactly tell us precisely what their formula is. We have the broad parameters, you know, the population, the percentage of elderly in the population, the percentage of vulnerable in the population. But now they're making it pretty clear they want to have a better handle on the racial component of who's getting these vaccines. Let me show you. At this point, more than 60% of Michigan seniors have not been vaccinated yet. And for most, it's not because they're not trying. It's a vaccine scarcity issue.
The governor and I are either on the phone or on a Zoom call or something with somebody in the Biden-Harris administration or a department and agency to make sure that we can get our allocations and they know what's happening here in the state of Michigan.
And it's a weekly roulette to see what kind of allotment the state will send out depending on what it gets from the feds. And it's no secret, it's frustrating Metro Detroit counties who are ready to give shots, but with not nearly the supply that's needed. Meanwhile, other communities like Detroit are offering vaccines not just to seniors, but to grocery store workers, food service workers, and the disabled, and still could do a greater quantity of shots per week at the TCF Center than its allotment. And then there's the issue of tracking the racial component. On more than half of the vaccines given, it's unclear what the race of the individual is, so there's no way to get accurate numbers. But what the state has so far with the limited data it has, Nearly 44% are unknown, nearly 42% are white, 9.5% are listed as other, 3.7% are black, and 1.1% are Asian.
We are committed to making sure that we have an equitable distribution of the vaccine, and that every dose we get into the state immediately goes to get distributed and to get into someone's arm.
Back here live. So to that end, they would really like to have a better handle on what the racial data looks like so they have more complete numbers. They are asking that if you're heading into your COVID-19 appointment, that you fill out the paperwork that identifies what race you are. But Kimberly, Devin, I think the bottom line here, at least in the short term, and what I discussed with the Lieutenant Governor, is we're going to continue to see these vaccine shortages and hope that they go away sooner rather than later. We're live downtown tonight. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
You do? Okay. Mara, thank you.
Well, after an agonizing wait, Highland Park and Hamtramck seniors got some COVID vaccine today. The clinic was put on by Say Detroit, was held in Highland Park, one of 7 clinics that open in Wayne County today to try to get the vaccine to seniors, some of whom have been waiting desperately.
Took me less than 15 minutes. Come in, get out, and I come walking out of here with a brand new state of mind. I've been in fear for the last past year. Now I'm fear factor free.
Today we would say was critical in terms of delivery of medical care to a community.
Clinic is also giving seniors the vaccine tomorrow, though we should note all of the appointments right now have been filled.
Members of the CDC met at a roundtable event today to discuss vaccination efforts. The agency's deputy director says a return to normalcy will happen gradually, and she says things could look better by late summer.
It's going to be more of a dial than an on-off switch in terms of incrementally more normal activities. As more people are vaccinated, individuals who are vaccinated will be able to do some of the things they couldn't do before. And then as our population is more vaccinated and we really suppress the levels through our social distancing and masking, we should be able to get back into social activities. I'm hopeful that by the end of summer, things will start to look a lot more like they looked a year and a half ago. But I think it's really dependent on our actions in the weeks and months ahead.
Now to today's coronavirus developments in our state. Macomb County and SMART will announce the opening of another vaccination site for seniors tomorrow. It's for those 60 and older and will be at the Sterling Heights Senior Center. Washtenaw County will vaccinate 1,200 teachers Saturday as school districts prepare to reopen by the governor's goal of March 1st. Today, the state reporting 1,316 new cases and 34 more lives lost to the virus.
Now a Local 4 update on the overturned cow hauler we told you about last night. The freeway reopened this morning after hours of work to clear the scene. This happened on the westbound I-94 West ramp to I-75 South. Some of the 38 cows were moved to another trailer. Others sadly had to be euthanized because they were so badly hurt in the wreck. The driver of the trailer, though, was not seriously injured. In another story that we've been following for you, Detroit Water and Sewerage crews working to fix this sinkhole on Detroit's east side. New video from earlier today shows concrete barriers surrounding the hole in the middle of Deering Street. Crews are using a backhoe to work to fix the sinkhole. We'll keep checking on it. We'll let you know both on air and online at clickondetroit.com when it's fixed.
Senators, including Michigan's Gary Peters, questioned law enforcement officials today on the prep and response to the deadly attack at the U.S. Capitol. This is the first time law enforcement officials are testifying publicly on what happened. They blame the deadly riot on bad intelligence and a slow response to call for federal backup.
We properly planned for a mass demonstration with possible violence. What we got was a military-style coordinated assault on my officers and a violent takeover of the Capitol building.
Chief Son was pleading for the deployment of the National Guard. And in response to that, there was not an immediate yes. The National Guard is responding.
Both testified they did not see an FBI alert the day before the attack saying extremists were calling for war at the Capitol.
There's more talk today on Capitol Hill about the president's $1.9 trillion COVID rescue bill. It's a bill that includes $1,400 stimulus checks for tens of millions of Americans, hundreds of billions for vaccine distribution and school reopenings, billions for small businesses and grants for restaurants. and hundreds of billions for state and local government budget shortfalls. Jobless aid would also be extended through late August and boosted to $400 a week. Those are some of the highlights. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the bill has wide support, but Senate Republicans say there's too much in it that has nothing to do with COVID.
We think this is dramatically more money than is required at this particular juncture. It also includes a number of things that have absolutely nothing to do with COVID relief. And so it will be controversial.
We are on track to get this bill done and get it on the president's desk before the expiration of the enhanced unemployment benefits, which is March 14th. We're going to meet that deadline, and it's going to be a robust, strong bill.
Because they have a majority in both chambers of Congress, Democrats say they can pass the bill without Republican support if necessary.
A lot of people in the market for a car are looking to save money during the pandemic, but ahead here at 11, why bargains on the used car lot seem to be disappearing.
Also, as Texas tries to recover from the catastrophic power outages, the group in charge of the state's energy supply just got smaller by several. We'll explain. And here's Ben.
Devon, still have a mild day on tap tomorrow, just not quite as bright as what we saw today. So we'll tell you what those clouds will mean and if we can get the good stuff back for the weekend. It's all coming up.
Many local districts are ramping up the efforts to get kids back into school, but one district is staying the course in the face of criticism. We'll tell you which one.